like out of just anger, I wrote like a death list. I moved to the United States when I was in 5th grade. In Puerto Rico and in the United States, I've dealt with a lot of bullying. It wasn't until I moved to the United States that the bullying became psychological, it became emotional. I've dealt with a lot of instances in which I thought people who were my friends ended up betraying me. This has basically happened every school year that I've been in, where I've made friends with someone. I get along with them for a while, but then after a while, they start to bully me. In some instances, I've even had to use violence to defend myself. There was even a point where I was getting bullied from all angles, even people that I didn't even know that much. And in an act of desperation, like out of just anger, I wrote like a death list. It wasn't actually supposed to be a death list, it was just like an angry list of people who I was angry at. That was a very traumatic episode. I ended up getting caught and I talked to the guidance counselor. We got that all fixed. I didn't get into any trouble. But it really showed me just how destructive bullying can be.
So my history with bullying is kind of mixed. I was bullied in grade school, actually, from about like 2nd grade to maybe 4th or 5th grade. So I was just a kind of a socially awkward kid. And then I think in response to that, I started to kind of bully people in 7th, 8th grade into high school.
I would always end up kind of the weird kid in the back who usually would prefer to keep to himself because, generally speaking, I was more afraid of interacting with people out of the fear of being ostracized. I always found myself being the one insulted over his weight.
I guess the most that I can remember is about my lips. I've gotten a lot of rude comments over the years about it, but as I grew up I realized I shouldn't really worry about it that much. Things in general, what I liked as a kid, my weight, how I looked, how I acted, etc.
Unlike most of the people in this documentary, I'm one of the bullies. I have physically and verbally abused a lot of people. It began during middle school when I used to hang out with all these kids. And at the time I was kind of trying to discover my own masculinity and try to assert my own dominance upon people. What we would do is that we would lead these hate speeches and I would just go off ranting, using the most offensive language possible.
If you're different from anyone, if you're just not the norm, people feel the need to attack you. Even when it comes to basic things like what you wear or how you talk or how you are as a person, people feel the need that if it's different from everyone else, you will be brought down about it.
I didn't want to be the one who felt bad about himself, who was just always down on himself just because someone else says, this is what you are, this is what you're always going to be.
For a long time, had you come and asked me about it later on, I would have almost defended my actions and I thought they were even partially acceptable. And it wasn't until I actually ran into a kid that he was now a man, that I had bullied when we were kids at his place of work, and we sat down, we had lunch together, and he opened up to me about how much of an impact my words had on him. And it was sort of sobering because I didn't even think about the stuff I said to him. It was so insignificant in my mind, and yet it had weighed on him for all those years. And just being able to get it off his chest was so meaningful to him, and it kind of became meaningful to me in the process.
It kind of stopped once the students couldn't take it anymore, and they started telling the teachers what happened, and eventually my parents were even contacted, and I started seeing therapists and everything, and I kind of reconciled the fact that I need to stop doing what I'm doing, and it wasn't right for me to execute that anger upon everyone else. Ever since then, let's say around 11th grade, I try to stay away from the people who did radicalize me. I try to go back to my own friends and make amends, I guess, and make myself a better person ever since.
One of the things that always strikes me about bullying is when we'll have sort of a informational gathering of parents, and the school administration will call them in, and they'll at one point ask the parents if their children have ever been victims of bullying, and almost every hand goes up. And then the really telling question is, are any of their children actually bullies? And almost all the hands go down.
Nobody wanted to sit down and talk with me. People just fought back with me. So instead of constantly feeding into the bully, just try to find a way to communicate. Try to find resources for them to get help, or otherwise they're just going to keep doing what they're doing.
I think honestly it's about sort of communications. Hurt people hurt people. You know what I mean? I think that a lot of what I did was because I had been hurt and I didn't know any other way to process it.
After a while, I just didn't let it get to me. And I think a lot of people could learn from that. That the best revenge against the bully is to just prove to them why they're wrong. Because they're bored. They feel like they're going to get some sort of satisfaction in life by bringing you down. And I guess if we could at an early age make it more open for people to talk and be friends and be more accepting, I think that's a step in the right direction. Though I don't think bullying will ever stop. I feel like there's always going to be someone who's very insecure and doesn't know how to express their emotions properly, and as a result they're going to take it out on other people. And while we can only do so much to stop it, we just have to try to overcome it together.
We can improve self-esteem among other people. If we get people to think more positively about themselves, then maybe they won't lash their anger out on other people, and that creates a lot of negativity. So when you have all that, that makes people a lot more peaceful with themselves. It makes them want to like themselves more, and then maybe they can make the world a better place instead of bullying others.
What we need to do is just respect each other as equal, and a lot of people are not doing that. And if I saw you as the same as me, we wouldn't have a problem. But everybody's worried about the sneakers they wear or the shirt, their hair. Our society is just really worried about what we look like and how we speak. We should prevent bullying that way by accepting each other.
Even though most people don't think speaking up works at all, if you're being bullied, go talk to a parent or a teacher or a guidance counselor or maybe even one of your friends. I still think that even though most people don't think speaking up works, it does work at times.
What we can do to prevent bullying is just to have more of an acceptance to people who are different.
These kids, students don't realize that you should take every incident and every moment to build that passion for yourself. Just focus on you, keep your nose out of everybody's business. That's not gonna help you with your life or success. Yeah, just ignore and do you, and if anybody's bothering you, just stand up for yourself.
They're gonna try and bring other people down so that way they look higher in the end. And in actuality, when you think about it, it just shows how weak they really are. The point of dealing with bullying at the end of the day is to overcome it. I got past it through help of my family, help of some really good friends who I've had the blessing of coming to know throughout the years, people who actually know me for who I am, rather from my exterior appearance or for how weird or quirky I may be. At the end of the day, it's learning to be more comfortable with yourself, to be able to say, yeah, I can be some of these things, but I am so much more than what you will ever make me out to be, and it is your loss for not being able to know who I really am, and for just being the one telling me all this negativity, rather than being the one to try and accept my hand for friendship. We have to have more kids at a younger age understand the true consequences of what it can be to hurt someone day by day. We need to bring them all up on the same pedestal. We can't have this situation where some kids feel like they have to be bigger than other people. You have to let them know there's going to be ups and downs, but you have to at least try to find your way to not be the person picking on little Jimmy in the corner because he's the smallest in the class.